President, today the Supreme Court chamber continues its appeal proceedings, and we have a witness, that is SCW3, who is going to testify this morning. Grazie, are all the parties present? Grazie, Mr. President. In today's proceedings, all parties are present, and Mr. Nunchi waives his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver dated 3rd July 2015 has been delivered to the greffier. We have 10 civil parties, namely Madam Chim Sowan, Sam Eun, Ms. Saran, Auri, Teng Sokha, On Polly, Sang Rat, Jan Sochit, Rumdul, and Po Dina. Thank you. President Nunchi has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. However, he participated in the proceedings from a holding cell downstairs. Based on the medical report of the accused by the duty doctor dated 3rd July 2015, who confirms that the accused Nunchi has back pain and cannot sit for long in the courtroom. And based on the above information and the request to waive his rights by the accused, the chamber grants him his request to follow the proceedings remotely from a holding cell downstairs. And the AV unit personnel are instructed to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that the accused can follow it. Court officer, please usher the witness SCW3, that is Sam Sati, into the courtroom. President, Mr. Witness, you're summoned today by the Supreme Court chamber in the ECCC to testify and we'd like to ask you some background information. First of all, what is your name and do you have any alias? Witness, My name is Samsati, alias T. Question: when were you born? Answer: I was born on the 15th of May 1961. Question: where were you born? And Mr. Witness, please observe the microphone. Answer: I was born at a village, a commune, Rolia district, Kampong Chnang province. Question: in your declaration form, you stated that your district of birth is Kampong Chnang, and now you stated it's Rolia. Please confirm which one is correct. Answer: I was born at a village, a commune, Rolia district, Kampong Chnang province, and that is the correct one. Question: what is your nationality and what is your current occupation? Answer: I am Khmer and I am a police inspector of Kampong Chnang town. Question: what is your father's name and is he alive? Answer: my father is Som Eun and my mother is Ung Ni. They both deceased. Question: what is your wife's name? Answer: my wife's name is Prat Savani. Question: is she alive? Question: how many children do you have? Question: where is your current address? Answer: currently I live in Trial village, Trial Chương village, Srai Thmai commune, Rolia district, Kampong Chnang province. Please turn on the microphone for Mr. President. President, are you related to any of the two accused or any of the civil parties? Answer: no, I don't. Question: have you taken an oath before your appearance? Answer: yes, I have taken an oath before the Iron Club statue. Question: have you lodged your application for a civil party before the ECCC? Answer: I was interviewed by the working group at my workplace and I made the application at that time. Question: my question to you is whether you applied as a civil party in any of the cases before the ECCC. Answer: I did not know about the case or the application that I made with the working group. Question: does it mean that you so far have not applied as a civil party in any of the cases before the ECCC? Is that correct? Answer: I actually told the working groups that I can be a witness in a case before the ECCC. President, I'd like now to inform you of your rights and obligations as a witness. Due have the right not to respond or to make any comment that lead to self-incrimination. However, you must respond to questions, except for questions or statements that incriminate you, and you must tell the truth based on what you know, heard, saw, remember, experienced, or observed firsthand the events relating to the questions. Question. You said you provided an interview with a working group. Which working group are you referring to? Answer. I was interviewed by a working group whose role was to locate witnesses of crimes during the Khmer Rouge regime. Question. Did that working group make a written statement of your interview, or whether they only went to your location to identify you as a witness? Answer. The work group actually interviewed me for the purpose of having me testified before the chamber. Please turn on the President's microphone. Question. So, can I clarify this matter that you were interviewed by the work group and you provided your statement in that interview? Does it mean you were interviewed by investigators of the office of the co-investigating judges? Please answer again so that your voice will go through the interpretation system. Answer. I was interviewed by a work group who were searching for witnesses. Question. Have you appeared before the trial chamber at the ECCC? Answer. No, I haven't. President, thank you. The chamber would like to hand the floor now to the co-counsels for Nuon Chea defense. You may proceed, counsel.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, Counsel. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I have a few questions for you this morning. Do you remember when it was that you were interviewed?
I cannot recall the details. However, it was about a year ago. President, Mr. Witness, do you listen to the Khmer channel on your headphone? President, Counsel, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Did I hear correctly? You said that you gave a statement 1 year ago?
Yes, it was a little bit more than a year ago.
And where did you give this statement 1 year ago?
I provided my statement at my police office, that is the police office in Kampong Chnang town.
So that was 2014. Am I correct to understand that? 2014 you gave a statement.
Yes,
ត្រឹមត្រូវ
that is correct.
Mr. President, again, I'm a bit confused. What I have in front of me is a statement which dates about 7 years ago. I'm also looking at the prosecution while I'm talking. And I would be very happy to know if there is a second statement.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honors Counsel. As far as we know, there's no second statement, and I think it would be very quickly resolved by showing the attachment to the statement and asking the witness if this was part of his statement, which apparently was drawn and signed.
I will move on. Mr. Witness, did you give a statement to investigators of the investigating judge 7 years ago as well?
I provided my statements to the work group, and I provided them description of my experience through the regime of 3 years, 8 months, and 20 days.
Mr. President, with your leave, I would like to show the witness the Khmer version of his WRI, and would like to ask the witness if he recognizes his signature on that document.
Judge, I don't think it is now time to show him the written record of statement. I'd like to first put some questions for clarification to the witness. And Mr. Witness, please inform the chamber how many times have you been interviewed by the work groups from the ECCC or the Khmer Rouge Tribunal? Answer: to my recollection, I was interviewed only once. Question: so if you were interviewed for only one time, please try to recall how long ago was it? You just mentioned that it was last year, and this year it's 2015, and when you said it was last year, you referred to 2014. But I think the word last year or previous year could be interpreted based on the region. So please try to recall how long ago, how many years ago you were interviewed. Answer: it was almost 2 years ago that I provided my interview.
ជួយលោកមេធាវីសួរបន្តបាទ
President Defense Counsel, you can putting questions to the witness, and I think you want to show the document to the witness in order to clear the timeline.
Yes, Mr. President, I only would like to show his signature, not of course the content of the statement. So, Mr. Witness, if you would be so kind to have a look at the last page and the page before.
National Deputy Co-Prosecutor, Mr. President, for the proper record of the transcript, the document given to the witness is that the document in the Khmer language does not bear the signature of the witness. However, it bears the thumbprint of the witness. So for that reason, I would request Mr. President to ask the counsel to clarify this matter with the witness. President, I think the Khmer document is now before the witness, and Mr. Witness, please provide us your impression of the document before you. Witness, the thumbprint and the handwriting underneath are mine, both the thumbprint and the handwriting, I mean.
Mr. Witness, would you also be so kind to have a look at the very first sentences on the first page? There it says you were interviewed 7 years ago at 7 August 2008. Is that correct?
No, it was not 7 years ago. It was actually 2 years ago that I was interviewed. I acknowledge the document and the signature on it was made when I was interviewed.
Maybe a peculiar question. You are a police inspector, Mr. Witness, so there can be no doubt in your mind that you were interviewed only 2 years ago and not 7 years ago, as this document seems to indicate.
Allow me to elaborate a bit further. First, the interview was not conducted 7 years ago. It was only conducted about 2 years ago. And I don't agree with you that I was interviewed 7 years ago.
That's highly problematic. Do you remember speaking to someone who interviewed you and recorded your interview, and then something went wrong with the battery of the recording machine? Does that ring a bell to you?
I was interviewed, but I was not aware of the details of the equipment used during the interview. For example, I don't know whether the recorder was out of battery.
Mr. Witness, you recognize your signature. Do you remember being read the content of this document?
After I was interviewed, I actually reviewed the written record, and it was consistent. However, I have not read it since. For that reason, I cannot recall the details of what I stated in this document, though I believe that it is consistent with what I told the work group at the time during the interview.
Were you given a copy? And if yes, where did you keep it somewhere in your house or at the police station?
I received a copy from the work group. I actually reviewed it and I read it a couple of times. However, it's been a few years now, and only now that I've been summoned, though I have not read it recently. However, I can recall most of what I said without having to refer to the written statement.
My last question on this subject before I will move on to the content, but are you insisting that the interview was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and it wasn't 7 years ago? That is something that you insist to. Is that correct?
Yes, I can confirm that it took place about 2 years ago.
For the record, Mr. President, I've just been informed that the document creation date of this document is 1st of October 2013, strangely enough. I'll leave it now because of time reasons. I will move on to the content.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. Je ne veux pas interrompre.
I don't wish, Mr. President, to interrupt my colleague unduly, but I do have a written record of interview that carries a stamp from the tribunal, which is dated June 2009.
Janvier, pardon.
20th of January, excuse me, 2009, the date of the receipt by the court of the record of the interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Civil Party Lawyer. We will get back to this, but now, Mr. President, I would like to move to the content of the case because of time reasons. Mr. Witness, could you remember, or do you remember, what happened on the 17th April 1975?
I am one of the victims of the regime which lasted for 3 years, 8 months and 20 days. I was forced to vacate my house to a mountainous area, And upon reaching Wat Chorok Pagoda, I heard an announcement that former public servants, soldiers, or students could go and get a rice distribution, and that they could return to their previous workplace.
Let me take you back in time. 17 April 75. Where were you living, and what happened on that day to you and your family?
It was in 1975 that I was evacuated to a mountainous area. And as I said, I was not yet placed in a cooperative. We were told to register our names so that we could get some rice, and that we would be allowed to return to the province and to return to work at our previous position. And after those people obtained rice, they were taken away and killed. They were all killed.
Please listen to my questions, Mr. Witness. 17 April 75. What happened in the first week between 17 April and 24 April 75? Where were you? Where was your family? Where were you going to? Where were you walking in those first 7 days?
I walked on foot at the time. People were evacuated and they were ordered to leave their house, and they had to follow the direction as instructed. Otherwise, we would be risking lives when the US planes would bombard the area. For that reason, we packed our belongings and food supply and left.
Did you and your father and mother leave together with your siblings?
My family comprised of my parents and 4 younger siblings, and my parents and 2 of my younger siblings were killed. One of my younger siblings was a teacher. He and his entire family members were killed. At that time, I was 14 or 15 years old, and I pretended to be dead amongst the corpses of members of 7 families. The 7 family members were ordered to sit in one group, and they fired at us to kill us all.
Mr. Witness, please bear with me. I'm asking you questions about you and your siblings and your father and mother leaving. I will get to whatever happened after Wat Chorok later. So please tell me where you walked, where you arrived, how long did you and your family walk from Pe village. Please be mindful of the chronology.
I left a village and arrived at Wat Chorok Pagoda.
How many days did it take you to arrive at Wat Chorok Pagoda? How many days did it take you, your parents and your siblings?
បាទ
Answer. I was traveling on the way to Chorsadach, and we could move very slowly. After we reached the mountainous area, we could reach Chorsadach Pagoda. It took us about 10 days to arrive at that pagoda.
On the way from Pe village to Wat Shrak Sadek, did you stop in a village called Klong Popok?
បាទជំរាបដែរថាការធ្វើដំណើរ
Witness. When we were traveling, we could not travel 3 or 4 kilometers per day. There were many people on the way. And we could travel only half kilometer or 1 kilometer in one morning. We had to follow each other on the way to different directions. Not only my family was traveling at that time, there were many other family members traveling with us.
Please, Mr. Witness, listen to my questions and please give brief answers. Did you and your family stop on the way in Klong Popok down the road? Did you stop there?
បាទមានឈប់នៅ
Answer. Yes, we made a stop at Klong Popok Pagoda during the lunchtime.
And then subsequently, is it correct, you went to Phnom Chumrei in Samaki Minchi district? Is that correct?
Answer. Yes.
ខ្ញុំបានធ្វើដំណើរបន្តពីវត្តក្នុងពពកទៅ
We left Klong Popok Pagoda and arrived at Chumriei mountain in Samaki Minjay district. We were on the peak of the mountain at that time.
Thank you. And did you then subsequently go southward to Phnom Chumrei and then to Wat Shrat Sadek subsequently?
ការទៅដល់ភ្នំជម្រាយហើយគឺ
Answer. After we reached Chumriei Pagoda, we had to move downhill so that we could be placed in cooperatives. After I left Chumriei Mountain, I was on the way to Chorsadach Pagoda.
Could you give us an estimate how many days it took you from Pe village to reach Wat Shrak Sadek? How many days in total?
សរុបទៅតើលោកត្រូវដើរអស់រយៈពេលប្រហែលថ្ងៃខ្ញុំឲ្យនិយាយឲ្យវា
Answer. I could not give you the exact estimate. As far as I can tell you, I can say it took us 10 days to reach Chorsadach Pagoda.
When you reached Wat Shrak Sadek, what did you see? What do you recall after having arrived? What did you see? What did you experience?
Answer. Upon my arrival at Chorsadach Pagoda, I ran out of rice to eat. I had no more food supplies. And at that time, the one committee of the 3 year, 8 months, and 20-day regime announced that we could get a rise after we registered our name, and everyone could go back to work in our own previous positions.
Mr. Witness, you were 14 at the time. You were with your father and mother and your younger sisters. What did your father and mother do? What do you recall seeing once you had arrived at Wat Shrak Sadek? Can you be more specific, please?
Witness, thank you. In the written record, I gave my answer once already, but I do not need to refer to the written record. I witnessed the incident at that time, and I would like to spend a little bit more time to explain you. After I got the rice, it was around 1 o'clock, and we were led to our own cooperatives. After we got the rice, we were moved to cooperatives. After we arrived at Prey Urung Kla, we traveled from we started leaving Prey Urung Kla at 1 o'clock, and after we reached Prey Urung Kla, we reached north of one place, and we put our belonging at another end of a river. When we reached that place, there were armed forces. We were asked to sit in one group, and those soldiers shot their rifles at all of us. And as for the baby was hanged by its leg, and it was killed. And the corpse and bodies were thrown into pits covered with leaves. And after they did such acts, the soldiers left the place. And at that time, I did not die, and I was an adult at that time, and I pretended to be dead. I was pulled and thrown into the pit covered with tree leaves. And during that time, it was raining. After they left the pits, I crawled out of the pit. And 4 people survived the period. Some got injured on the head, and some got broken ribs. I could not help them. There were 4 surviving people at that time, and we went and we left the pit together. We were walking towards Chorot Pagoda, and when we arrived at that pagoda, there were relatives and neighbors who saw me and knew that I had been led to the pits to be killed, and I was helped by them. These people knew that my parents had been killed already. And during that time, the guards tried to search for us, 4 of us who survived the killing. And in the evening, the members of the armed force went to different places. And people at that time tried to go to the places that they wanted, and the militiamen could not control the situation at that time, and we left in groups.
Mr. Witness, please. I'm still in the chronology when you and your family arrived at the Wat Chrak Sedek. What did you see? Did you see thousands of people, hundreds of people? What did you see when you arrived there?
Answer. Chrak Sedek Pagoda was the place where members of Pol Pot gathered together. As I stated earlier, some people were cyclo driver, but in order to get the rights, they registered that they were former soldiers. Chrak Sedek Pagoda was the place where all people were put together.
Mr. President, I'm seeking your assistance. Could you please instruct the witness to give short answers and answer my questions? I'm unable, as it seems, to convince the witness to answer my questions. Mr. Witness, what did you see at Wat Chrak Sedek? What time did you arrive? What was the situation like? Please limit your answers to what you saw there.
Counsel, excuse me, Your Honors, it might be helpful for counsel to specify which of the occasions that the witness arrived at that pagoda he's asking a question about, because the witness said that the family arrived, and then after this incident in the forest, they went back there. So it will be much clearer on the record if counsel specifies which of the occasions he's asking about.
I think I was very clear, Mr. President.
President, defense counsel, please put a short and direct question to this witness. And Mr. Witness, you are instructed to pay attention to the specific question and short question put by the defense team, and please give your short answer. You may now resume your line of questioning, Mr. Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were, let me take you back. You were at Phnom Chum Rey. Then you and your family went to Wat Chrak Sedek. What did you see, what did you hear when you arrived there for the first time?
Answer. When I reached Chrak Sedek Pagoda, I saw many people, and I saw member of Pol Pot Armed Force there.
Did you see, in fact, thousands of families there?
But
Answer. What I can say is that there were many thousands of people.
Then what happened? Please explain what happened that day that you arrived and the next day.
Upon my arrival, there was an announcement that they wanted to search for the former civil servants so that they could go back to work.
And then what happened?
Answer. I told you earlier, and after they registered the names to obtain rights, these people were taken away and killed.
Mr. Witness, you just testified that there were thousands of people and there was an announcement. What happened exactly? Did they sit down at tables, people registered, gave their biographies? How did Khmer Rouge soldiers verify that people were in fact Lon Nol officials? Please tell us in detail what happened that day.
Answer. On that day, there was a loudspeaker. An announcement was made over the loudspeaker to search for former soldiers and civil servants. And the announcement was aimed to search for former officials and officers so that they could get a rise. And while the announcement was being made, the names of people were registered in the list. And they told lies to all of us that we could go back to work.
Let me ask it differently. You and your family heard that announcement. What did your father do?
Answer. My parents registered their names so that they could obtain a rise.
Was your father in fact a former Lon Nol Republic official?
Answer. During Lon Nol time, he was a soldier.
Did he, when he registered himself, write down his name and his occupation? Was he a soldier?
Answer. He registered that he was a former soldier.
Did he tell you anything about the forms that he had to write? Did he say anything about how long it took for the officials to verify that he had indeed been a soldier? What happened next?
Answer. After the registration and names of members of family were called, and we were led southward of the pagoda, and we were told that we go to find house to live in.
I'm still around the moment that your father registered himself. He said that he had been a soldier, according to you. How do you know? Did he tell you this? Or did he tell you what exactly he wrote down? Did you hear it from someone? Please explain.
Answer. He did not put anything else other than that he was a former soldier. The announcement was aimed to search for former soldiers so that these soldiers could obtain rights. So he listed as a former soldier.
How long did it take? How long did the registration take? There were thousands of people. How many people did, in fact, if you know, register as soldiers? Answer. I did not know how many days it took to finish the registration, and as I told you, there were
many people in the pagoda, and in the dining hall. The dining hall was about 3 meters above the ground, and rice was kept in that dining hall. And after people got rice, they left the place.
Did your father wear military gear, identifying him as a lone wolf soldier at that day, or since the liberation?
ឬក៏ថាគិតចាប់តាំងពីថ្ងៃរំដោះហ្នឹងមកតើឪពុករបស់លោកមានស្លៀកពាក់ឯកសណ្ឋានទាហានទេដើម្បីបញ្ជាក់អត្តសញ្ញាណរបស់គាត់ទេបាទគាត់ស្លៀកខោទាហាន
Answer: He wore paramilitary trousers with a white shirt.
And how long did it subsequently last between the moment of registration and you and your parents and sisters and siblings leaving the pagoda?
បាទ
Answer: After we obtained the rights and after the registration, we were led away. We were led southwards of the pagoda, and we were told that we would go to find houses to live in, but actually they were all killed.
You said you went southwards, and in your statement you said you went southward to Prey Rong Kla. Is that correct?
បាទត្រឹមត្រូវហើយ
Answer: Yes, that is correct.
Isn't it correct, Mr. Witness, that Prey Rong Kla is in fact 70 kilometers northward?
ព្រៃរងខ្លានេះមានចម្ងាយប្រំពីគីឡូម៉ែត្រត្រឹមត្រូវហើយទេ
Answer: It was not 7 kilometers away from the pagoda. It was about 2 kilometers away from the pagoda. It was to the south of the pagoda, not north.
Something went wrong in translation. I said 70 kilometers northward. And there's only one Prey Rong Kla in Cambodia. That's 70 kilometers northward. Is that correct, Mr. Witness?
មិនត្រឹមត្រូវទេ
Answer: No, not correct. In terms of the direction and the distance, I told you already that after people got the rights, they were led southwards, and it was 2 kilometers away from the pagoda. I mean the Prey Rung Kla.
There's a Rong Kla village which is 24 kilometers northeast, but I'm sure you don't mean this. Mr. Witness, you are a police inspector. You grew up in Kampong Chnang. Do you disagree that Prey Rong Kla is 70 kilometers north of Wat Shrak Sadek?
បាទមិនត្រឹមត្រូវទេ
Answer: No, not correct.
Fine. So you and your family left Wat Shrak Sadek. Tell me what happened.
Answer: After we left Chorslach Pagoda, we crossed a stream or a river, and we were told to leave our belongings in another end of the river, that is the southern part, and the northern part rather. And we crossed the river or stream southward. And after we crossed the stream or river, the armed force took us away and killed.
What happened exactly? You were there, you were walking with how many people?
និយាយជារួម
Answer. Generally speaking, the people who were with me at that time were my relatives, 7 family members.
7 families or 7 family members?
ខ្ញុំចង់និយាយថា
Witness. There were about 7 family members in one family, and at that time there were 7 families. And after they were killed, the pits were full of dead bodies, almost full.
Again, please do not go too fast. You were walking with how many people in total, going southward to what you say direction Prey Rong Kla?
Answer. I went with my relatives of my parents. There were 7 families, and I could not recall all the names now.
I wasn't asking about the names, Mr. Witness. I'm just asking you with how many people were you? How big was the group? What happened?
Answer. I cannot tell you the exact figures. Some families had 5 members. Some other families member had 10 or 12 members. So there were 7 families at that time, and members of the 7 families were all killed in one specific place.
Fine, I will move on. You were walking with this group of 7 families. Then what happened?
Answer. Nothing happened because they were all killed, and I surviving the killing. There were 4 of us survived the killing, and 2 of my relatives, 1 male and 1 female, survived the killing, and my 2 siblings also survived the killing, 1 sister and 1 brother.
Mr. Witness, your occupation is a police inspector. You know that I'm asking you about details. So I'm telling you, please try to recall what happened. You were walking there with a group of 7 families. Then what happened? What did you see? What did you hear? Please give me some details.
Answer. When we were traveling, there were soldiers, armed soldiers, and after we crossed the stream or the river, we were escorted by these armed soldiers, and into the caves of Prey Rung Kla, and we were all killed.
At one point you say you saw armed soldiers. What did they say? What did they do? Please explain to the court the moment that this group saw these soldiers. What happened?
When we were walked at gunpoint by the group, we were told to keep going straight and try not to escape, otherwise we would be shot. Then at a certain location, we were all ordered to sit as one group, all the 7 families.
What was the reaction of the people in the group? What happened? Was there a discussion between your father and the soldiers? What happened?
There was no discussion at all. We were not armed. We did not even have an axe or a knife. We were ordered to place our belongings in a pile on the north side of the stream, and we were told to walk across the stream to the south side. And then on the south side, when we arrived, we were ordered to walk at gunpoint to the killing site.
Your father was a soldier, you said. The other men in the group, were they former Lon Nol soldiers as well?
From my recollection, one family had a member who was a civilian medic, and another family had a member who was a teacher. As for the rest of the families, they had at least a member who was a soldier.
So then you were escorted by these soldiers at gunpoint, you say. You were walking across the stream, then what happened?
When we were ordered to sit as a group, they stepped back and then they all fired upon us. And for the young children who were not hit by bullets, they would go around, pick them up, and smash them.
Now, in your statement that we have before us, you said that that the men in the group were first separated and that they came back later. Is that correct or is that incorrect?
It is my conclusion there was more than one groups who were divided to kill people. For example, one group was assigned to kill my family members and relatives, and other groups will be assigned to other families who received rights from the organization.
I'm not interested, Mr. Witness, in your conclusions, but I'm asking you, was the group together when you were being shot at, or had the group been divided into the men and women first, as you testified earlier?
Yes, indeed. First, they ordered us to divide into groups, namely men will be put in one group, and that they had to cross the stream first. Then the wives and the children would follow.
And did the men in the group obey this instruction? What was told to them? What exactly happened? What were the words of the soldiers giving this order?
At that point in time, I was a young boy, and I followed my father, as I was told that they told my father to cross the stream in order to cut trees to make our makeshift shelter. And the rest of my siblings and my mother was at the other side of the stream. Then I saw those armed soldiers came with their weapon drawn and pointed at my father and other men and took them away. And since I was young, they chased me away to return. So I returned to tell my mother and my uncles and aunts that my father and the men were taken away to be shot dead. They did not believe me. After they had killed the men's group, they returned for the female group and the children, and they were taken to be executed at the same spot.
Did the soldiers, the Khmer Rouge soldiers, see you following the group of men? Did they say something to you? Can you shed some light on this?
But first, they divided us into different groups. For example, males grouped and females grouped. And in fact, the person who led the men's group crossing the stream was not armed with a rifle or weapon, but armed with a knife, a long knife. When I saw that, I ran back to tell my mother and my aunts that my father and the men were taken away and killed. And after they had killed the men's group, that militia came back to get the female group, including myself, to cross the stream to the other side.
I'm not sure if I follow. Mr. President, I'm mindful of the time, but this witness, at least in my perspective, is so evasive in answering questions. I would really like to have some additional time questioning this witness.
Your Honors, first of all, we heartily disagree that this witness has been invasive at all. He's telling his story. The questions that are put to him are often compound and complicated, but we have no objection to giving counsel more time. It doesn't hurt us at all. We don't object.
President, the chamber noticed that the response from the witness is clear enough. However, it is the chamber's observation that some of your questions are repetitious in its nature, though we bear with that. So please try to make your questions more precise and to the point. We decide to grant you an additional time of 10 minutes, so please proceed.
I don't think that's very fair, Mr. President. I'm not asking any repetitive questions. I'm trying to find details. It is our position he's making up this story, and the only way to establish this is to find details that are convincing. But I'll move on. Mr. President, it's the way it is. Mr. Witness, at one point you were being shot at. What happened then?
After they fired shots at us, and not only to myself, but to many people, and I pretended to be dead. Then we were dragged into the pit, that is including other corpses and myself.
Tell me how you did that, playing that.
I pretended to be dead because I had seen what happened earlier, that is what happened to my father's group. They had shot and killed them all, and that's when I ran back to tell my mother and my female group. President interrupts, Mr. Witness, please try to answer to the point. The question is, how did you pretend to be dead? So please answer that question. Witness, yes, I'll do that. My mother was sitting in front of me, and when they shot at us, one bullet hit her chest, so she fell onto the ground, and I pretended to fall onto the ground as well, behind her. So everybody then fell on the ground, and they would go around and smash the heads of young infants to make sure they're dead.
Do you know how your sister and your two young siblings pretended to be dead as well?
Some became unconscious while others pretended to be dead, and my two cousins pretended to be dead, but my younger sister was hit at the rear of her head, and there was a blood stain there.
And how long did the four of you pretend to be dead?
While they were going on a killing spree, did not last that long because it was almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's say it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon and it was about to rain. So by the time the process continued, it was almost dark, and they hurried to drag us and dropped us into the pit. Then they left. Then I called to my relatives if anyone was alive. So then we crawled out of the pit, and there were 4 of us together who survived.
And how long did the pretending of you and your siblings pretending to be dead last? How long did you play dead? Hours? 1 hour? 30 minutes?
I think it took quite a while, maybe about 2 hours by the time the killing spree started, and by the time we made sure that they had all left. Then we crawled out.
Do you have can you explain how you and your younger sister and the 2 siblings were able to fool those soldiers? How were you able to do that? What convinced these soldiers that you, your younger sister, and your 2 siblings were dead?
As I just stated, it was about to rain and it was about to get dark, and they did not have much time. So they actually did not complete their job properly. If they were to do their job properly, they would drag us one by one and finish us off. If they were to make sure that every one of us was dead. But I think they hurried to finish us off and go to get our belongings where we piled up on the other side of the stream.
So they never buried you and the others of the group? They never dug a pit? They just left you because they were afraid of the rain? Is that what you're saying?
In fact, the pit was an existing B-52 crater. Of course, a lot of Cambodians are familiar with that. There were remnants of B-52 craters, and they were pretty large. That is, the top diameter was about 7 to 8 meters wide, and the bottom diameter was about 3 meters wide. They did not cover us, but they threw us into the pit, and they put some tree leaves on top, 3 leaves and 3 branches on top of us.
And that's all. And they left the dead bodies there. Do you know if any dead bodies were found at that specific place afterwards? The skeletons, I mean?
They left the dead bodies there, and I did not know whether later on the pit was covered with earth or not, but during the Khmer Rouge regime, those craters were filled with skeleton remains, and sometimes the cows ate away the bones.
Mr. Witness, do you have an explanation for the fact that an organization called DCCAM found only one mass gravesite in the West Zone, which is indeed Pre Rong Kla, but which is 70 kilometers north of Wat Shrak Sadek? This is a police inspector, Mr. President.
Your Honor, how can the witness possibly speculate on that unless he knows what areas DCCAM looked at, whether they were even mandated to search for all areas or only went to look for one particular site? Asking him to explain why DCCAM only found or exhumed one site, there's no way this witness could have information unless he worked for DCCAM on that project.
Mr. President, this is a police inspector. It is my strong conviction that he is lying from A to Z, and he is surely able to say anything about mass grave sites found by DCCAM.
Monsieur le Président, si je...
Mr. President, if I may make a comment here. Since the beginning of this examination, our colleague is speaking to us about the village of Rong Kla, which apparently is 70 kilometers from the pit that the witness is speaking about. So we cannot verify this information at all. The documents that our colleague is relying on to make this assertion, that is to say that this village is 70 kilometers away, whereas the witness said it was 2 kilometers away, there are no elements on the case file to prove this, and we have no way to verify that this is the same village. So could we at least know where this information comes from? The information allowing us to say that this village was 70 kilometers away and not 2 kilometers away.
Council, maybe to take a shortcut, if I may, with the President's permission, to ask witness a question. Are you aware of any exhumation sites of London soldiers or their families in the area?
No, I am not aware of any exhumation. However, allow me to add that after 1979, the government made an appeal to the people if they knew any pits where the skeleton remains were scattered, so that the skeleton remains could be collected, gathered, and stored at the provincial town hall. And that applies to all provincial town halls throughout the country. That is my recollection of the government's appeals and action in 1979.
Did you reply to this appeal by leading to this place and trying to recover the remains of your mother?
No, I did not go to that area. However, the government's appeal was for the people to gather the skeleton remains and store them at various museum or where they could store and maintain the skeleton remains, and that applied throughout the country.
Thank you.
If I may respond to the civil party lawyers, I'm not relying on any document. I'm relying, it's 2015, on Google Maps, which clearly says that Prerong Kla is 65 to 70 kilometers north of Wat Shrak Sedek. So let me withdraw the question.
President, lead co-lawyer for civil party, please do not take turn to respond to each other. And I believe your time runs out, Defense Counsel. Do you have any further question to be put to this witness?
Yes, about 1,000, Mr. President. I need at least 2 more hours. 10 minutes is ridiculous.
Your Honor, perhaps the counsel could indicate what the most important question he has left, so we could at least give him a chance to ask the most important question he has left.
If it has to go like this, I withdraw all my questions.
President, now it's 26 past 10, and the chamber takes a break for 20 minutes. And upon our return at 10:46, we will give a floor again to the defense counsels. The chamber is now in recess.